this is a Career Catalyst webinar, all about volunteering, very informative webinar, which will hopefully help answer any questions that you might have and really motivate you to get involved. Volunteering has so many benefits. So yeah, we'll get started. So just quickly, my name is Ellen. I'm the Events and Partnerships Manager for Intern Match, and we actually deliver the Study Melbourne program that you're joining today. So you've probably seen me across a few webinars, also all of our events in person. So we encourage you to get involved. I'd like to acknowledge country before we get started. So I begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we present from, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on our webinar today. And here's a little bit about Study Melbourne. You may have just seen this webinar pop up on Eventbrite or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever you saw the link. So the Study Melbourne Career Catalyst program is one of, I think, 3 or 4 programs that the team run for international students. And all of our events, all of the webinars, all of the one-to-one career coaching is all free and inclusive for international students. So if you've arrived here in Melbourne, we're here to help you get more comfortable and confident with whether it might be polishing your resume, updating your LinkedIn, understanding personal branding, understanding volunteering. So please come along to whatever you can. I have put the QR code for their newsletter, which goes out once a month, and it includes everything that's happening. And that's nice and helpful. So again, I'll send all of this after the session as well, but we may as well get started. So the objectives of this webinar are to really highlight employability outcomes and skill development of volunteering. So, educating you on how volunteering will enhance not only your resume, but providing you hands-on experience and developing valuable skills that will boost your employability. And we'll also go through promoting how volunteering helps promote networking and community integration. So building professional networks and fostering a sense of belonging in the local community that you might be in, which I guess is a very important thing as someone who's arrived here in Melbourne. And then, of course, encouraging your personal growth and confidence, so showcasing the benefits of volunteering, which bring with it increased confidence, adaptability, and leadership skills as well. So we've got some great guest speakers on the call today, and I'm really thrilled to introduce them both to you. So please make them feel welcome. We've got Vilden who actually works at ANZ and is a volunteer with Brotherhood of St. Lawrence, and Alonso, who works at La Trobe University and has done some volunteering and mentoring in the past. So if I could get you both, maybe Alonso, start with you, just a little introduction about yourself and your journey so far, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alonso. I came to Australia from Mexico about 9 years ago to study my master's degree. So I was an international student like you are. And yeah, from the beginning of my journey here in Australia, volunteering was a very important pathway that I took. It was a way in which I connected with the local community. I arrived to Bendigo to study there at La Trobe University campus there, and it was a way to connect and meet new people. And yeah, and that is something that I not only enjoy but open other opportunities. So I kept doing it, and I try to do it as much as possible when I can.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Alonso. That's great to know that you started, I guess, in a regional background as well. It can be quite challenging to come to a new country, but then to go to a regional town. We'd love to hear a little bit more about what you did there in Bendigo. So thank you so much, Vilden, for you.
So similar to Alonso, I came from Bosnia in 1993. So rewind back a bit longer than Alonso, but I also have a very strong a group of people that I've associated with over the years that have been migrants and refugees and international students, so to speak. My career has been at ANZ for almost 10 years now, and part of working with such a large organization is the flexibility they've provided to me to allow me to venture, I suppose, on my own and do volunteering opportunities that form part of somewhat my role. In today's day, I feel like it's part of what I do on a regular basis, but I've spent the last 3.5 years with the Brotherhood St. Lawrence and a few stints with Vinnie's. But predominantly with the Brotherhood, we ran a very strong digital literacy program during COVID, and that was nominated to be one of the uh, it was a nominee for the Chamber of House innovation programs during that period. And I was very lucky enough to be in the Chamber of House with many different organizations. But yeah, the last 3.5 years have been amazing in terms of giving back to the community and just bringing some of my own ANZ staff to the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence to be volunteers as well. But yeah, I mean, there's more I could speak about it. I suppose it's been a very welcome change in my life for the last 3.5 years, being able to commit to extra time to volunteering.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Well, I'd love to, yeah, love to hear about how you, I guess, told your colleagues about what you're doing, bringing them across. But it's great to hear that your company were quite supportive as well of that time that you spend. And that just goes to show that it's a really important part of your life to have that involvement. And they, I guess, hopefully most employers see it in that way, a positive way, that you're helping the community while you're doing your job as well. So that's, yeah, great to hear. Thank you so much. So we'll jump straight into our first topic of the day, which is all around building skills and gaining hands-on experience. So obviously it provides like a very invaluable opportunity to develop your practical skills, so your actual hands-on skills, and gain some real-world experience. I might start with you, Alonso. How has volunteering helped you develop your soft skills like leadership and communication and teamwork?
Yeah, well, I think coming from a different cultural background, that was very important volunteering because it allowed me to see how people work here in Australia. In the first time, like what was important, what were the ways in which people work differently than in Mexico. So that was a really good thing to start with. I was surprised that even as a volunteer, I had some training, which was always very nice, and expectations were very clear. That was something that I appreciated. And I guess moving forward, it was a good way in which to create, to let people know about the kind of work that I do, the skills that I have, at the same time that I was still developing those skills. Yeah, I guess.
Amazing. Thank you. And yeah, it's a great way to showcase your skills, especially if like a lot of students on this call might not have been able to find like part-time opportunities or casual work. And that's kind of what they're wanting to get their foot in the door, but getting involved in whether it's your local community, you might have seen a post up on your local shops or something like that that just shows to get involved, then you're getting those skills without even committing to a job. And it's hopefully something that you can do ongoing as well.
And I also think that what was very important for me is like, as a new migrant to this country, I wasn't known in any sector. So I needed to build up my personal brand, I guess, to call it in a way.
Yeah.
And that was the way in which I could then apply for jobs, for paid jobs. And I had someone to back up the skills that I have and my work ethics, because when you arrive to a new country, it's very difficult for someone to give you an opportunity if you have no credentials.
Yes, great point. Having a reference from your experience just from volunteering is, yeah, definitely. I always encourage when I'm speaking to students to make sure you put things like volunteering. They might kind of just think, oh, I did it once, or I worked at Fashion Week or the Australian Open and I just kind of helped out. But it's so important, and you will get hopefully a contact that can vouch for your skills and the fact that you arrived to kind of volunteering on time and you were happy to help out. You led people really well. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alonso. Vilden, can I ask you, is there a specific example of a skill that you can think of that you gained through volunteering that has impacted or positively impacted or benefited your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for the most part, prior to COVID, a lot of our roles were dictated by the frontline connection, and it was a lot of over the phone or face-to-face contact. And then COVID came around, and we had to deal with new objectives, which was not seeing people much anymore.
Mm.
Now, as part of joining the digital literacy program with the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence, the benefit we had there was every meeting we had was a virtual meeting. Now, it was new to me, and it taught me the importance of utilizing, I guess, the virtual tools like Teams meetings and Zoom. And it also educated the people that I was working with as participants that we're on a 6-week journey together. And the crazy thing is, every single participant I worked with, I learned something new, whether it was about their position or about their occupation. And even for me, I was dealing once with a lawyer, and she was talking all this law to me. And for me, it was a learning curve about what she was doing rather than what I was doing. But it helped me understand some important items in, if I was ever to be struck down in a case, what would I take on? So I think the importance of volunteering is that you get to learn about things that you wouldn't otherwise know with other people. And the greatest thing I've always found is that with volunteering, since putting myself out there, it's almost like a tree that has separate branches that grow in separate directions. And I think had I not been in volunteering, maybe I wouldn't be on Intern Study Match as a guest speaker. Maybe I wouldn't be volunteering with Vinnies. Maybe I wouldn't be a basketball coach in today's life. So I think when you're open to giving and providing your time, that branch or that tree with the little branches will start growing in directions that you feel like it didn't exist. So that's the greatest learning curve for me, is that I'm building some really good networks and resources around me and people that are helping me give back more to the community and really build a better reputation for volunteering as a whole.
Great answer. That's wonderful to hear the impact that I guess meeting new people along the way has really helped you. You probably got great social skills already, but it's probably even brought those to life even more, and you've become more passionate about it, meeting new people. And yeah, hopefully with the students that are listening to this, you might find volunteering opportunities in an area that you're passionate about. It might be basketball, or it might be just helping other people. And hopefully through that, yes, you're doing the thing that you're passionate about, but you're also, like you said, meeting people that might potentially help you along your journey. And it might be career-wise, it might just be life help. It could be, just extending your network out to a completely new group of people or industry. So always be nice and open-minded to the opportunities that volunteering can potentially give you. In both a community impact way, but also it could help your employability as well. So going into that topic, we may as well cover off networking and personal connections. So of course, it's all about meaningful personal connections and then expanding your professional network to foster a sense of community and support. Alonso, I'll ask you, in what ways, maybe back in Bendigo, did volunteering impact your sense of identity and integration as an international student and now a leader in the education space?
Yeah, I think it was a very important volunteering in this journey. Some of the first volunteer jobs that I performed were around international students, in terms of I went with the international office at La Trobe University and helped them with orientation and all those activities to welcoming new international students. And that, I guess, what helped me to create a report around the things that I'd like to do. I also had I'm very interested in community engagement and bringing people together. So that was an avenue that I could put this interest and my expertise around that into practice. And through that university, I got other volunteer opportunities with a non-for-profit, a local non-for-profit that worked with migrants and also international students, which that led to actually my first paid job in Australia. They had a project around international students that they were working with international students, and they needed an international student to lead that project. And because they knew my work from other events and programs that I volunteered for them, they offered me the job, which was really nice. And from that on, I think I just made a career around working with international students. I have a first-hand knowledge of being myself now an international alumni, but at that time an international student. And yeah, it's something that I'm very passionate about.
Lovely. Great to hear you found your passion just through getting involved. Great. Like, I'm sure you're very grateful. Was it La Trobe that you studied in Bendigo? Now you're working?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Are you based near Melbourne now?
I am in Melbourne. Like, yes, that journey has taken me to other universities, and I recently just got back to La Trobe, but back in
Amazing.
Melbourne. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And I love to hear the full circle of now you're helping other students, probably, supporting them through opportunities like volunteering or getting involved in the La Trobe community. And that's obviously a huge part of a lot of the students on this call, and those that probably watch it afterwards will probably want to know how they can get more involved. And of course, they can reach out to Study Melbourne's resources, but also what we complement what the university and the education providers are already offering as well. So they might have some more insights as well. So always make sure that you speak to your careers team. And Vilden, can you maybe describe an instance where you made some new friends, or you built a support network, and maybe what you were talking about with bringing a couple of new people from your current job, you were bringing those across to volunteering. How did that kind of process happen, and are they continuing that volunteering?
Yeah, look, the irony is for the two people that I brought to Brotherhood to be part of the digital literacy program, they actually worked with me almost 9 years ago when I started working at South Melbourne. And the crazy thing is, one of them came through the Given the Chance program. Now, the Given the Chance program is a program that the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence offers to allow immigrants or migrants or refugees to find a job. And one of the immigrants who actually I mentored at the time was someone that I reconnected with almost 6 years later. And I told him, I said, Dum, you'd be a great person for this program. And he said, yep, I've taken your advice before. You've given me great advice. And he stuck by it. And he moved into the program and he absolutely loved it because he's always had strong community roots. And the other party was someone that always had a strong interest in basketball coaching with me as well. And I told him, why don't you try this out? Because your passion is towards the community. I think once you can find your sense of accomplishment with the community, you want to do more. And these are old friends, but new friends I found working with the digital literacy program. They created a new group called the Volunteer Reference Group, and for the most part, 9 out of 10 of those people were paid volunteers, but I was one of the unpaid volunteers, and I felt like part of a team rather than paid or unpaid. That's irrelevant. It was what was relevant is we were working together on a goal, and the great thing about it was this was volunteers, some of them that had 30 years, 40 years of experience with volunteering in general. And I was there with 3 years. So it made me feel like I'm part of bigger impact towards the community. And it made me learn a few things about, the volunteering in general. So I felt very honored to be part of a small group of the Reference Network program that was actually providing advice to the Brotherhood of what strategies they can take around volunteering and how they can, I suppose, recognize volunteers in different methods. So for me, they were friends that I met along the way as part of putting my time in, and also friends that I had that came back to life, and I got to work with them again. So it was a great feeling for both times.
Great way to engage again and reconnect.
Re-engage and sort of just help someone else help others, which was very rewarding.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, it all sounds so it's a very like wholesome thing to talk about and hear. And like you said, you will spark a passion if you get involved. You will then continue that and you want to get more and more involved. One of the questions that we've actually had come through is I don't have, or sorry, not a question, but I don't have much time for volunteering. And that's totally understandable if you're an international student or just anyone that's busy with study, busy with potentially a part-time job. You're trying to, get to know Melbourne, come along to events like this. And there are definitely opportunities, volunteering opportunities that might just be like a one-off sort of commitment. And that might be something like an event. So it might be something happening in Melbourne. It could be at university. But there also would be something probably in your community, like it could be a farmer's market, or it could be your local op shop might just need someone once a week for a few hours. It's not going to bite into your time, your working time, in terms of like the hours that you can commit to on your visa, because it's unpaid. So absolutely reach out to your local community. See what's happening. Like you don't have to always go to the biggest and best events or organizations. There might be something a little bit closer to home that you can help out with. I personally, it's definitely a room area of improvement for myself. I always say, oh, I'm too busy. Like I'm trying to catch up with friends on the week and I'm trying to do this, that, and that. And I recently was like, no, it's time to, get involved. And like you said, Vilden, my local Vinnies need people on Saturday mornings, and they literally just said we need people Saturday mornings from 9 till 12. So I put my hand up for that, and that might just be a once a month commitment for the rest of the year. It might be ongoing, but also I put up a Facebook post and said, I'm an active person in the area. I go for a walk in the morning. If anyone needs their dog walked, I'm happy to, stop in, grab your dog, walk it around the block. And it might just help someone's day. And that's not really like, I guess, a full-on volunteering commitment, but it helps you get involved. You might meet someone through that kind of arrangement, and it will just add to the integration into the community as well. So we'll finish off in the last topic, and we'll get to a few questions as well that are listed. So in terms of confidence and adaptability, Alonso, can you share maybe a memorable experience that really impacted your perspective to life in the community?
Yeah, so just one of the last volunteer jobs that I got at Bendigo was managing a group of teenagers that work in a canteen on Saturday mornings. And that was very impactful because all the teenagers had a refugee background, and it was very interesting learning from them. As Vilden was saying, like you are there thinking that you're going to contribute with your skills, but at the same time you're learning from the people that are there, and just learning about their life stories and how they shape them, but at the same time how their interests and dreams are very similar to the rest of the people who don't have a refugee background, and being able to, in a way, contribute to contribute to for them to feel those dreams and expectations. That was really, really good.
Yeah, amazing. And it will help them with their like you said, their resilience and build like their adaptability to the environment around them. Vilden, is there any personal growth that you've experienced through your volunteering? Is there any kind of skill that you've really felt like you've developed since volunteering?
Yeah, look, there's so many. I mean, it's almost like a book full of skills that are hard enough to list, but even harder to recognize, because I think you're constantly picking up skills of communication. You're picking up skills of networking. You're picking up skills of leadership. I mean, for me, from a personal level, I've really come to realize the impact that you can have in the community. And I guess the greatest accomplishment, or part of the greatest accomplishment, was even my employer recognized it when I received the Contribution to Community Award for the financial year 22-23 out of all of the Victorian Tasmanian small business bankers. And that was for all the work that I did with the literacy program and the Brothers and Lawrence and Binnies and etc. And in my wildest dreams, I never saw myself as someone that was at the top of the list. But sometimes you have to take a step back and realize that anyone can do it. And I think the more time you invest into it, the better rewards that you're going to get out of it. And for everyone, recognition is important. And for me, it felt like, well, I just really need to do more of this, because it won't just be me being recognized. There'll be my peers that I've brought into the community and into the environment of volunteering as a whole. And I mean, I've also felt very accomplished in terms of being able to help so many different people graduate out of programs that they've come from similar backgrounds like myself, like migrants or refugees, as I highlighted earlier. And I had a really good example that I wanted to share for Alonso's question, which is a person that actually came to me with no laptop, no phone, but needed to have both of them for the program. And what it meant was it took a 6-week delay before the Brothers and Lawrence could provide them with a laptop and a phone to use to get through the 6-week course. So it was really just about being patient, waiting for them to get the resources. The organization helped them. She graduated. She showed me this amazing magazine that she was working on, and then I introduced her to the Stepping Stones, which is a program for women to grow in business, with the same organization being the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence. And she was very grateful that someone saw something in her that was willing to help her. And I faintly remember she shared the magazine with me. I said, don't share it with me, share it with like Louise Vuitton or something when you need to get your fashion brand out there, because I think everyone can make it. It's really just about how do they have the right equipment in front of them, resources, and the behavior really. And it's no different to volunteering. A personal growth has been investing time into volunteering and just getting praise. Not every day do you get praised for the work that you do, but I think we all feel great when we do get praised.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're right. If you're working, you kind of get your job done, and your manager might recognize you every once in a while, but to do volunteering it's very selfless work, but it's definitely something that is very impactful. And along the way, you get to know people that are really supportive of you. So, and congratulations to you just on that. You're obviously doing a lot in that space, and it's making a big difference. So it's definitely absolutely worth mentioning, and making sure your maybe employer or your whether it's a part-time job or your university or people know about the stuff that you're doing, because you deserve to be showcasing what you're spending your time doing. And it's not like you're pumping yourself up or putting yourself out there to be like, look at me, like you're actually doing it because you're doing it for the benefit of the community. And it should be yeah, it should be showcased. So yeah, it's all terrific to know. Has there been any, for both of you, has there been any challenging situations you've faced, or have you kind of found that volunteering has always been quite straightforward? Of course, with the adaptability of like COVID and things in the mix there, or working, volunteering regionally, was there any sort of setbacks at all?
I guess for me has been very straightforward. Like regionally, it's a bit, I guess the culture of volunteering isn't as common as here in Melbourne. So sometimes you have to do extra work because there's less people to do the work, but at the same time, that has helped create stronger bonds with the people that you work with. So yeah, it's been great for me so far.
Good, nice. And for you, Phil?
Yeah, I will highlight there have been challenges. I think with every time that you invest a whole lot of your own time, you're always going to encounter some sort of challenges. Now, through the programs that I've supported, one of the greatest challenges for me was just sometimes interpreting people. I mean, I think we can all think that everyone can speak well and write well, but when the truth comes out, like not everyone is 100% versed with this sort of information. And for me, I think more than half of my participants, they had challenges in getting messages through to me as participants in trying to graduate from these programs. And as you can imagine, it's a literacy program. So people are trying to learn about how to, speak, how to write, how to read. So for me, there was a bit of a challenge working in an environment where everyone obviously speaks to you fairly simply, and then it was more so them trying to understand me and me trying to understand them. So all it meant was we just spent a couple of extra weeks in terms of the program. So rather than your conventional 4 to 6 week timeline, you would extend it to 6 to 8 weeks so that you'd get through all the harder bits first, and then work on all the easier stuff towards graduation. And I mean, at the end of it all, it almost felt like the person didn't just go through a program, but they actually happened to have an English class at the same time. So I've always found that it's important that if you have the qualities and skills within you, that you expose it onto others and you teach them what they don't know. And this was never part of the program etiquette. It was rather something that I felt, well, how can I help you better educate yourself in this area rather than the area that you want to grow? It was almost like an indirect goal to some people, and it felt great. But yes, that was a big challenge in sort of going back to the coordinator and saying, look, we haven't had much success, and then the message comes back, why don't you try this? So it was a circle going around for a bit. But I think with every challenge, it's really just a case of persistence. You just got to work a way around how to get the best method applied in this situation. So it was great overcoming the challenges, though. I think it's very rewarding when you can overcome a big challenge for someone else and for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah, that's all I would highlight around challenge.
yeah, and that highlights the skills of problem solving, of leadership, like of adaptability. Like there's so many skills that you probably don't even realize that you're, getting your head around when something happens when you're volunteering. You might be volunteering with the Salvation Army, and it literally might be handing out food to people in Melbourne. And you might, deal with a situation that's a little bit uncomfortable, and you might have to bring in your team and kind of say, all right, guys, this is how we will manage this, or you need to escalate it. And you're then showing your leadership skills or your problem solving skills just by doing that. And then that's something that you can use when it comes to job interviews, and they might say, look, you've mentioned your leadership skills. Tell us a bit more about that. And you might say, when I volunteered, this is what happened. I might not have the working experience for the leadership that you need, but I do have leadership experience. So hopefully those challenges, like you said, can be overcome with a bit of work or a little bit of change and being an adaptable person. So Just to finish off, I'll just jump into a few questions. So we've answered the question about having time for volunteering. Hopefully that kind of answers the question in terms of there is a broad array of opportunities out there. I think, so I'll share the next slide across. So there's a couple of resources here, and you can actually, and I know that on a few of them, you can actually select your frequency of volunteering. So it might be a one-off event. You might kind of go, okay, the university is having a break, a winter break over the next few weeks. I finished my exams or my work. I have some time now, and there might be an opportunity to get involved with something once, literally just once. And then in a year's time, they might reach out to you and say, can you volunteer again? Or you might be able to commit a few hours a week or a month, whatever it might be. It could be in a call center, and it could be helping local community members find, the resources that they need to access different services. And we've got one more question from Dev. Dev has said he's an Dev has said international student at La Trobe University. I want to explore and expand my skills. Can you please talk to me about where and when I can apply for volunteer positions or any opportunities out there? So these resources on the screen are super helpful. So definitely just try starting with those, and our guest speakers might have some insight into other opportunities out there, but even just simply Googling volunteer opportunities near me, and you might be living regionally, you might go through your local council, you might even go on LinkedIn and simply type volunteer in the search bar, and hopefully something in your vicinity or something in maybe your network will pop up, and they might need something for an upcoming winter festival or something like that. Was there any other resources that that either of you could think of?
I would just suggest that since you're a La Trobe student, to reach out to the La Trobe's career team. They will definitely have some volunteer opportunities.
Nice, thank you. That's great for Dev. Amazing.
I mean, we're not limited by choice. It's really how far you want to go. I've often felt that I had no connection with the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence previously for maybe 5 years. And I think out of the blue, someone raised the name, and I just went onto the Brotherhood of St. Lawrence website. I emailed inquiries, and someone came back to me before I knew it. I was volunteering with the team. So I think it's really just you've got a lot of resources on that page, ranging from Volunteer in Victoria, Seek, Go Volunteer. Find something that's suitable for you, that you feel like you can make the biggest impact in, because I think volunteering is great, but you also, the more passionate you are about achieving something with someone else, the more invested you'll be into that organization. And then before you know it, other branches of the organization will reach out to you, and then ultimately you'll get other organizations reaching out to you just by sheer communication in the community. People talk when you do good things, and they'll say, go to this person or go to that person. So I think start with the resources. They're great. And if anyone needs to get in contact with the Brotherhood, you can let me know. I've got a few resources up my sleeve that I can direct you to, and they can speak to you about what programs they have on offer.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. That's yeah, like you said, start kind of with these resources, and then word of mouth is really important. So you might go to an event, or you might speak to a peer, another student who's doing some volunteering. So make sure you work with them to find that opportunity. I forgot to mention that I did put the Melbourne University volunteering as just an example. So you can go to your local education provider, and hopefully, like Alonso said, speak to the careers team, whether or not they have a directory or kind of a website listing the volunteer opportunities, or they might just have some great connections in the local community that they can reach out to you for. And yeah, there's always great opportunities out there. So I'll just double check the last message. yeah, so someone has asked if there's any marketing experience out there. And of course, it's very difficult to always find, work experience in your industry. But if you kind of think more broadly and hopefully find more, it could be working, like I said before, at an event, and you might simply say to them, I'm happy to come along as a customer service representative, but also excited to potentially use my marketing skills, and I can, take some photos for the event. I'm happy to support the marketing team. So if you're kind of applying for a volunteer position, you can just go for what they're advertising, but also mention that your skill set or your goals, your career goals, and they might just be able to go, yep, we'll match you with our marketing manager. You can shadow them for the day, walk around with them. Or your local community, like it could be a local op shop, it could be a local cafe, whatever it might be. They might not have much of a presence online, and you can simply go in and say, look, I'm currently studying marketing. Before I get a full-time job, I would really like to help someone improve their online presence. Can I help with your website or through your social media? And just do it in a volunteer capacity. And then when you get a full-time job, you might work out where you go from there with that. So always be open-minded to the different ways you can go about this. So thank you both so much for your time today. It was really great to connect with you and have you involved in this session. For everyone that's watching and those that will watch the recording, we'll make sure that we continue to send you opportunities that come up. So make sure that you subscribe to the Study Melbourne newsletter so that every month we'll share those opportunities. And there's always lots happening in Melbourne and in regional Victoria. So hopefully you get a chance to volunteer soon. And we'd love to hear about your experiences. So yeah, thank you so much, Alonso and Vilden. It was lovely to connect with you. And hopefully we see you both soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hope
Thanks
you
so much.
got some good value out of it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'll stay online for a couple more minutes in case anyone has any questions. But yeah, thank you so much. And I'll share everything via email after our session today. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. All the best for everyone.